Hey boys and girls, so we're back with another book for the book club. This time, right here, How to Hot Rod Your Volkswagen Engine by Bill Fisher. To me, this is one of the basic performance books that you should have. If you ever decide that you're going to do your own performance motor yourself, and you're going to start off with a small budget, this book right here is going to help you be able to get the maximum for what you have. The information is a little dated. Carburetors and stuff they used back then and cylinder sets they used back then have pretty much gone by the wayside. Alright, so it's probably almost 40 years old. It was written in 1969, so the information, oh, it's more than 40 years old, isn't it? The information in here does have some date to it. There's no such thing as electronic fuel injection in the aftermarket yet. There is very little in the way of turbocharging anything yet. Very little in the way of carburation. They didn't have DeLortos out as kits yet. You know, this is really in the infancy. But what's amazing about this book is that they went through and put a lot of effort for the amount of book that there is. There's a lot of information and testing they did in this book that will help you decide with even modern parts what you're going after. So a good example is in here is like here. They dyno test a carburetor setup. They dyno test 3 different carburetor setups. These carburetor setups unfortunately are no longer available, but if you're wondering what a 2-barrel carburetor will get, this is going to give you a pretty close idea of what can be had. They port a set of heads in here. They do carburation, different carburetors here. Once again, these carburetors are not really available in kits anymore, but it does give you an idea. It gives you the combination of the motor, the compression of the motor, the valve size they had, what they did to the heads. They actually go through the heads here, and they go pretty thoroughly in the difference between single and dual port, for those guys that don't know. They also go in here and talk about replacing guides a little bit. They talk about installing bigger valves. Not like you're going to go do it, but it gives you an idea of what they're doing. They also go in here and talk about porting heads. And they actually show their flow charts from when they flowed them and what they did. They also go in here and they actually have a whole section on where they're porting, what they're doing, with arrows explaining where the work is going. Alright? So like over here, all information that is actually still good today. Now you can take that information and use it on your stock heads, and if you're on a real big budget, light budget, you're trying to do the maximum you can, you got a good running motor, you can pop the heads off, do some of the work they did here, put a set of ratio rockers on and a set of dual carbs, and boom, you're going to be doing a whole lot better than if it was just a dual carb kit. And it's all just your effort. You can go in here and look, they talk about exhaust, they actually give some exhaust theory and have like math formulas for some of that a little bit. They have formulas for the compression ratio, of course, and I think they have the formula for displacement, but today you can just go on a website and get that information converted, just throw your numbers in there. So that's not like you're going to actually sit down and do calculations like when I was a teenager. They also have in here a little bit about camshafts. They have a little bit about pistons and cylinders. The piston and cylinder section is dated because the biggest bore you could get back then was a 92, and that was not the good setup for a street car because it had thin cylinder walls. Now you can get thick wall 92 cylinders, which has changed the game on 92s. You can get 94s, which have a pretty decent thick wall cylinder. You can get thick wall 88s now. There's a lot of different stuff for cylinders, so that cylinder section still gives good information. It's just not directly applied to the stuff that's out there, but you can use that information to decipher why some of the stuff is better nowadays. Alright? They also talk about transmissions a little bit. The transmission section was basically just get a Porsche 356 gearbox because they didn't really have the parts yet. They have a stability and traction section on here, which is not really big compared to the other book I showed you on performance Volkswagen tuning. But they were really after the motor in this one, not so much the other stuff. And like I say, it may have just been that's all that was available. Definitely wasn't any narrow beams or anything back then. What's neat is it has some history in the back. It has some really cool pictures, if you're into that stuff and the vintage stuff like I am, of some of the old drag cars and some of the old stuff that people do for their street cars. So there's a picture in here, and I probably won't be able to find. Well, there we go. There's a good example. MP's little dragster they had. There's also a dragster in here that's really awesome. It's a front engine 1500cc single port supercharged dragster, which is wild. This book is still in print. All right, at this time it's still in print. I'd suggest you go and get one, because the way things are going nowadays, these printed old books like this aren't going to be around much longer, and we've seen a few of them that are fetching really ridiculous prices for what they are, I think, on the internet, or at least people are asking it. So you can still go get this book. I think it's around, they're around in the $20 range. Don't quote me exactly on what price, I don't know, but I know you can get it to most of the Volkswagen parts stores and get it. You can still go to aircooled.net and get it. You can get it on Amazon, I believe, even, and it's still for sale. And that's, once again, it's by Bill Fisher. This is probably one of the best out there. Even though the information is dated, you will still be able to find it useful and valuable in your Volkswagen, especially if you're going to try and build a mild performance motor yourself for the first time. So anyways, boys and girls, that's our book review today. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell, and I'll see you guys later. Get out there and get your car worked on. Let's make some high-performance Volkswagens and get our little dune buggy project out of the way here and get it on the road. So I'll see you guys later, and hopefully you guys have a great day.